Test, test. All right, that looks like it's working. Howdy, folks. My name's Dave. I'm a wood turner. I started turning as therapy for PTSD and found out I had a knack for it. Fell in love with it. Then I started teaching it and fell in love with that too. So I started this channel to become a better teacher, a better demonstrator, and a better turner. It's practice is the secret sauce. That's all there is to it. You got to put the get proper instruction and put the time behind the wheel, so to speak. Anyway, thank you for joining me on this Twitch Tuesday, and thanks for supporting this channel by showing up. I appreciate it. I did want to talk about. Let's see, get the camera. Okay, there we go. Oops. I did want to talk about this real quick. So I got the big boy back. I got the parts for it. I just wanted to, I guess, I don't know what public my review. I guess I don't know. I don't get paid for this. I just want to give as much information about the things that I learn as I can. This is the lead screw for the old quill, and you can see it still has the. I don't know if you can see that. Actually, it still has the lubricant on it. But what has happened, apparently, and is that the threads of this, it's a hollow tube, to get the knockout bar through. So essentially, it's just a threaded nipple, more or less. I don't know about other lathes. This is something I want to start paying attention to too. So this lead screw lasted me 2 years. The one that came with the unit, the original manufacturer's part lasted, dang, I guess that would be about 7 years or so. This one only lasted 2. So I don't know if there was a change in materials, or I don't know. I'm glad it shipped sooner than I expected, so I got the lathe back. But this is something I'm going to start paying attention to, like how big this is, because those just disintegrated. They're gone. They were just pretty much chunks and dust in the old quill. Anyway, that's that. Glad to have this dude back. Really glad that I actually had another lathe to work on. That's always pretty groovy, I think. Okay, so last week, let me change the camera there. I worked on this guy, little stopper jar. It still doesn't have the stopper yet, so I want to start with that first, and then I'm going to rough out or turn around, I guess, some cherry and maybe some maple. I've got some. I want to make a few little boxes because I'm going to be taking classes from Jim Scarcella at Aeromont the second week of October on carving. So I'm really looking forward to that. He does some really beautiful carvings on a lot of stuff that he turns, and so I'd really like to learn how to get better at that myself. So anyway, we need a stopper of that guy. I have this nice piece of old dark cherry, so I'm going to use that. Since it's cherry burl, I thought perhaps the dark cherry would complement it nicely. And I'm going to carve the dude, a little finger thing holds in it. I think this might be the right size for this chuck. I guess I started with a slightly smaller piece than I thought. All right, glasses down. Let's see, let's get this light back on. Get this height set since I didn't change everything back. I didn't set the tool rest. I fixed I replaced the quill and the lead screw, and I also received a handle from E-Replacement Parts. It's been on order for almost a year, but it's the handle for tightening down my quill. I don't know. You can't see that. So this little handle was broken off, and I got that at the same time I got these other parts. This has been my own back order for, golly, almost a year. Let's see. I started low. I don't know why. So basically, my plan is to just turn this bottom part flat. By golly, it looks pretty flat to me. And then start sizing it. So let's take a look here. I know this is already, I don't need to be that close, I suppose. So did I bring it over here? I did not. So I'm going to grab my skewer really quick. Which means I probably should have this handy for any honing. And start working on the taper and the size of the plug. Okay, so that is the widest diameter then. And let's give that a test fit, see how close I am to this. Ooh, I think it might be really close. And then we'll round that corner too so that it's not so sharp. Let's see here. It's not quite right. Yep, okay, so it does need to be a little more taper. Try that. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Come on, lay up there. There you go. Okay. There we go. Yep, that'll do. Let's chamfer that on there. Okay, that's going to be a good stopper. I think maybe it's still just a little bit wide. So basically, I'm just using the skew to make these peeling cuts. That's essentially what this is. Okay, that'll work. Let's see, thinkity think. Actually, you know what? I think I am going to cut this out a little bit just to give myself a place to put the pin jaws, because I need to turn the top now and then cut a handle, and then I'll carve that out with the Dremel. I was hoping I need to get a new extension for my Dremel. So I'll be holding it by hand today, which will make it a little bit louder, I guess, closer to the mic. Let's see. I want my spindle gouge. Not you, that'll work. Yeah. Might be helpful. It was on a good center. There we go. No, sir. That's still just a skosh high. So it doesn't have to be a deep indentation, and I really don't want it to be too deep. Because I still have to carve where a finger holds flat. That still cut right there. You see, I'm still just a wee bit high there. Like that. Let's see, then the sidewall scraper. Yeah, there we go. Let's chamfer that a little bit. It's too fine. Oh, by golly, I had a piece of 220 sitting around here. All right. There we go. Oops, wrong drawer. And we'll eventually need the other key as well. All right, come on. Whoops. Just got a bunch of shavings in my drawer. Well, I'll clean that out later. Okay, pin jaws. Going into expansion hole, but this is a nice solid piece of wood. No splits or cracks or anything like that. Not that I'm going to put a ton of pressure on it, but oh, you know what? Let's see first. Okay, that works okay. Maybe. All right, so it sits all the way down to there. So maybe, you know what? On this one, I think I'll just make a knob. Yeah. Instead of having to carve it out. Oh, wait. Before I go that far, though. Excuse me. So that's my depth. So twice that will be, okay, cool. Set that up there. Hope you all had an enjoyable, those of you that celebrated, I guess, Labor Day weekend. I know a lot of people took the opportunity, up here anyway, to take their boats out on the lake, I guess, one last time. I don't know that that's the case, but seems to be the trend. That is not sitting correctly. No lumps or bumps. I guess I just didn't have it seated. Just want it to be secure in the lathe with the expansion hole that I have on it. I don't like using expansion holes all that much. I use them when I have to, because they're expansion holes are the ones that are, in my opinion, the most dangerous hold, because it's pushing out against the walls. I've got, 3/8 wall thickness between the jaws and this bevel here. I want to keep as much thickness in there for the jaws to push against, and I'm always wanting to double check to make sure I don't have cracks and splits and stuff like that, because this will open those things up, and then it can come off the lathe. Well, let's bring out the power tool here. Okay, now I can work with this guy. there yet. Let's do that. Let's see. I think I'll go. A little bit deeper, huh? Oh, this might be one of the times. Let's see. This might be one of the times I actually pull out my 40 degree spindle gouge. Get into a tighter spot there. That's a better hold. Okay. Let's put the 40 degree gouge away. I think actually, yeah, in the wow, golly, man. I guess it's a year and 9 months. Almost not quite 2 years. I guess it'd be 2 years in January that I've been streaming. I have not pulled that out once. I keep it around because it comes in handy every now and then. And I don't want to like change the grinds on tools I have just for that one thing. So I have a 40-degree spindle gouge, but doesn't get used much. I can't wait to get the buffing balm on this, because this is really going to look nice. I think I scooped that out a little bit. There we go. Tricky parts, getting the abrasives in some spots. Fortunately, it doesn't need much. Sharp tools are really, really important, and they're used not just for safety aspects, and should you happen to get a cut. There's an odd sound change. It'll heal quicker if it's a clean cut, right? But you leave a better surface for yourself when you're working with sharp tools. And so your sanding is decreased. Sanding time. Okay, let's toss on some of that buffing balm. Hold on a sec. That's ready anyway. Okay. Buffing balm way over here. So as I'm spreading it on, I'm just making sure it gets into all the nooks and crannies. I mean, it'll start doing that on its own once the wax starts to melt a little bit, but if you leave chunks on there, they can come flying off. And it's beeswax. It's not, little bits and might stick to your glasses or whatever and miss you completely. But and then we, basically used too much of the material. I really don't need to use a lot of this, which is one of my favorite reasons for using it, besides the fact that it is all natural. No petroleum products. Spin that bad boy up. Warm. This dark cherry's really going to get dark. Oh man, that looks nice. Key. But that really nice dark cherry. Don't find a lot of this. At least I don't. So that will fit. In there like that. And now that is, oh my, that's going to be an issue now. Okay. Well, I guess I'm carving it. That is a little high. As far as a handle goes, that's kind of a bummer. So I'm going to put it back on the lathe. And yeah, wow. Bummer. All right. No problem. Can fix. Let's go with a 45. Or somewhere thereabouts. May not be enough, but let's check her out. Say whoops on my part. Oh, it got really close though, so I don't have to take off too much more. And in fact, time to go get the 40-degree gouge again. Okay, so I can take this actually deeper in. Ooh, I may not need that. I may not need the 40-degree gouge. Yeah, that'll work. And one more check. Come here, you. All right, it sits where it should. Cool. And I can hit it with this again. That's too much. All right. It's way too much. Slow this bad boy down. Still got too much on there, but that's all right. It'll come off. And some that's going to get into the pores of the wood when it heats up, which is the whole idea. Oh, nice. Very, very nice. I really like the look of dark cherry, especially on older like furniture and just older works of wood. It just looks so awesome. I'd like to be able to find more to work with it. Okay, so that guy's done. Set him inside. I got to do the inner surface with walnut oil. Might be a little dark in here. This time of year kind of I don't know. It's the days are getting shorter, so there's less light at the I mean it's already dark or getting dark, really close to dark, and days are just going to get shorter and shorter and shorter. By the time we hit December 21st, it will be dark by like 5:30, I think. It just seems like that the winters take a long time here, but there is definitely a what I want to say, since we're higher north, the amount of daylight that changes throughout the years, a little more than what I have been used to in other places. I have not been this far north, although, well, that's not true. Korea once, but that was in summer going into fall during hurricane season. Went up there 7 times with the squadron. Okay, let's put this guy back here. All right, so I've got some cherry here that I want to make round because I need it for material for boxes. And there's a couple ways I can do this. anyways, anybody could do this, really. Could use a roughing gouge, spindle roughing gouge, which I don't actually own anymore. The one I had, which it was a 1 inch or inch and a quarter. It's a nice little spindle gouge, but I never really used it much because I started through working with Lyle Jameson, trying to whittle down how many tools I have to have around the lathe at one time. And a lot of times went for the bowl gouge to round a piece out. All right, so we'll get this on the balance point. Let's see, I think all things are equal. We'll just go up this side a little bit. This guy. All right, still heavy in the bottom. But I think, since this is in spindle orientation, still heavy in the bottom, that I'm going to pull out the skew first. Ooh. All right. A little too far up. Try to get it right on the point so it moves freely. So it's just a tiny bit heavy right there. So I'm not really going to move that. No, come on. You can do better than this. All right, let's see. Oh, it fell out of that hole. So I got two holes that are really close together, and it just skipped one where the points are sitting in the timber here. So still just a wee bit low there. So let's just try that. Nope, that was the wrong one. That was too low or too high. Let's try that. Too far. All right, well, I'll go to the other side then. I got too many little dimples over there. Oh, you're just going to be a booger. All right. I was close once. Still not quite spinning freely. There we go. Go with that guy and take it up just a bit this way. That's one of my original holes, in fact. Yep, too far. So we'll go to the back side once I get this back where it was. Move this guy up just a hair. Oh, that's probably too much. Yep. I want to knock down as much vibration as I can before I even start turning. I don't want the lathe to try to dance across the floor. Some people will bolt their lathes to the floor. And, you know, I get it. I wouldn't suggest it because then your lathe is stuck in one spot until you unbolt it again. And if you've got it in an interesting spot in your shop that you can't get to both sides of the lathe, which people do. Not everybody either realizes or takes advantage of being able to turn from the other side of the lathe. But I guess the main point is that it might make you a little lazy. I don't know if like stubby machines with big, huge monster things on there. That's probably a good idea where you can't balance it, right? You can't get it on its balance point necessarily. I don't know that much about stubby lathes. I'd really like to play with one. But on a lathe like this, I can get it on the balance point or very, very close and eliminate that vibration. So I could see where maybe a stubby or something like that doesn't have necessarily has I think it's got an arm you can attach to get a tailstock, a live center on there. I don't know that much about stubbies. Yeah, I could see bolting one of those down to the floor perhaps, but something like this, even a larger lathe, but where you're working between centers most of the time, I think it is a much wiser choice to try to get everything you can on the balance point. I try not to turn anything that's going to have a lot of vibration if I can avoid it, because the cuts are better. It's a smoother ride. So I'm adjusting the speed to see where the vibration damps down, because sometimes there's a harmonic. There's not really a whole lot of vibration happening now anyway, but I want to eliminate as much as I possibly can. The sooner I can do that, the better off I'm going to be trying to cut this wood. The thing's not going to be jumping around and bouncing around. The lathe not going to be trying to be dancing. My cuts are going to be smoother and more efficient. So I think that it is a possibility, unless of course, not everybody learns everything the same either. So maybe they don't know. Working on the balance point would help. I don't know, but I don't want to necessarily bolt down any of my lathes. I'd rather work from the balance point, get rid of the vibration completely. I have weight down here, but I like the opportunity or the ability to be able to move the lathe around. To different parts of my shop if I change. I've changed the location of this lathe a couple times. Now, this looks nice. It's looking very nice. And I'm using mostly my hip to move the tool. Once I find the right angle, just have to bring my hip forward and get that nice, smooth feeling cut. You can see how I've moved my tool rest a little bit sideways. And it just peels right off. I got hit with a chunk there. go back and keep working all over this way. But it'll get easier now.
Bad news. Said, howdy all.
Hey, how's it going, man? Be cool if this was a two-way video experience. Alas, it's not. Alright. How's your day going, man? How's it going up there in Canada? Okay, it's not me moving it, it is the impact moving it. There we go. Kind of a Have you not had much until now, or is it just a different flavor?
We have been looking this year with very little smoke.
Oh, very, very cool. So this works really, really well for a spindle-oriented piece because I'm doing a peeling cut with a bowl orientation where the grain is running perpendicular. And I'm cutting a lot of end grain, at least half the time you're cutting end grain, and it doesn't work as well. A lot of tear out. A lot of bumping around if you try to do it with a skew. Also looking forward to this weekend. We got the club has hired Rudy Lopez to come in and do demo and teach classes. He's going to teach beginner stuff for the newer turners of the club, and then the following day he's going to do more advanced stuff, and that's, I mean, I'll be there the whole weekend, I suppose. Helping the newer turners too, and get the tool skills down that he's teaching. Can't spread a man too thin. Rudy is a really, really excellent instructor. Really nice guy too. Him and his wife are just really cool people. First time I met them was at Aramont. In Gatlinburg, Tennessee. on the shoe. Let's see, I gotta take smaller cuts now. But I'm gonna switch up and get off home. Tail stock a little bit more. Tell when you get to where it's wood continuously all the way around, get that shushing sound when you're making the peeling cut rather than this. Cutting a lot of air. All right, so not looking too bad. Let's, I'm gonna hone this thing. Ooh, got an interesting bar conclusion there. That's kind of interesting. Don't know if it'll stick around, but it's definitely got some burl wood to it. Or, not burl wood, figure compression wood to that little spot. I mean, this is close. But let's make it round. Let's make it round. I want to set myself up with some, as I said before, some lumber to work on some lidded boxes for Jim's class in October. Figured, hey man, I got that email. I sent an email. Said what the kind of the plans are for the class, which is really cool. And there's going to be some blanks there, but not a ton of turning. He wants to focus more on the carving, which is fine with me. Suggested if we had any boxes we wanted to practice on, to bring them. So I'm just gonna, over the next few weeks, make a few. But I need the wood to do it. And I didn't have anything round at the moment, like cherry, suggested not to bring walnut because that sets off some allergies for people, which I hadn't heard of. But I mean, every tree species can do that if you get enough of it. I know, like Lyle Jameson, cedar is his Achilles heel. And one of them, anyway, he can't be in the shop when cedar's being turned. Are we there yet? Almost. I think that's it. Okay, so I do have some splits going on here, which I knew I was going to have to cut off the ends. But that is part of the issue that I'm having with vibration on this piece, is that these splits are running parallel to the lathe, and the tip of that can get caught in any one of those, or rather the edge of that, not the tip, and break out a chunk. So I normally, like with greenwood, this works. It works really well with either one, but with greenwood, a little bit nicer because you don't have all that tip typically like you do with seasoned wood. Yeah, that's enough. Okay. We're gonna have more than one diameter. Yeah, I'll just take all this to right about here. So I'll have a wider diameter bit down here. I don't know how much at the end I'll have to cut off. Looks like I'll have to check these out, but somewhere in there is probably where I'll have to cut the end off. So I'll have two blanks, but you can see here, this is what I was talking about. Let's see if you can see that in the camera. Nope, let's tilt the camera down a little bit more. All right, so you see this bit right here. It's a little chunk. There's a split right here where that pencil mark is, if you can see the pencil mark. But there's a chunk that came out right here, and that's where the edge got hit. There's another chunk that came out right there. There's a chunk that came out there. So that can happen when you're doing peeling cuts on seasoned wood. Be aware of where your where your splits are. I'm not all that concerned at the moment, partially because I've done this a whole bunch of times. I'm not getting lax. It's just I'm learning what to expect and how to deal with it. But again, with green wood, it just peels away like butter, man. That was about the spot right there. Yeah, that's not too bad. I'll leave that. I'm gonna plane this out or cut, round this out. That'll all come off anyway. So let's see. Let's take a look. Let's go back here. Let's move this camera back to right here. I think that's a good one. So I want to look at here because I can see there's a split trailing down somewhere this direction. So I want to take this down, get rid of this bark so I can actually see the timber. So there's a little bit of a split coming in right there. I'm not going to worry about this bark at the moment because, well, actually I'll take it all down to the same diameter. Why not? That little splintery stuff. All right, so the bark's almost all gone there. So now I'm going to start mapping out these guys. So that split looks like it goes to right about there. This one goes not that far. This one goes to right about there. That one goes to right about there. This one comes to right about here. So let's see which one is the furthest away. Well, these are almost on top of each other, but this is where I need to cut it. to get rid of all these splits. And let's take a look on this side.
Shmuel said, "You have one of the big boys running again."
Yes, I do. I fixed it the other day. I got the parts on, Saturday, I think? Or Friday? I don't know. Friday or Saturday. And was just really thrilled because wasn't expecting it that soon at all. All the stuff was on back order. Another little happy surprise was my hold down handle for the tailstock. I had broken the handle, and that was on back order for almost a year, and that showed up in the same package. I'm like, wow, hey, all right, I'll take it. Okay, so since I got to take that much off, well, I can leave this because this could be. We'll see what we go with that. Maybe I'll make 3 sections out of this. Angle of the hand goes in the way there. Holy cow! Wow, hey, what's happening, Tiny? Oh, try Ray Ray. I haven't seen you in a while.
Here come the
Cool kids, yes, sir. Wow. What does that say? 23. Wow.
K14 said, way cool kids and the way cool Ray. What are you making?
Right now, I've got this was a quarter section of a log, and I'm making myself some billets for to be able to turn some boxes.
At moment, not body.
Yeah, in preparation for a class that I'm going to be taking in Arima.
Watching my terrible turning, we would let folks see some real turning and how mud works. Said, hey, Mav.
Hey, it's like everything else, man. It takes practice. But right now, yeah, I'm just rounding out the wood, trying to figure out what parts I'm going to use for the lidded boxes that I'm going to turn in anticipation of taking Jim Scarcella's class at Arizona. I'm going to take a peeling cut with the point. The heel, I guess you would say. Okay, so this wood wants me to go the other direction in this area. It wants me to go that way with it. I don't know if that's going to help. Yeah, that's a way better surface. So here the grain kind of changes a little bit.
I'll be lurking as I clean up.
Hey, thank you. It's supporting the channel, but even if you're lurking, man, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm gonna say it's time to hone the skew again. I think that'll be good enough for a small little box, maybe. Let's see. Let's take it in a little bit more because we're gonna have to have some waste material. Get rid of that dude. looks about right. Alright, so now back over here. So all I'm doing here on the ends, these two V grooves are just where I need to part this away or cut it off, however that turns out. Most likely in my case, I'll be parting it off. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's a good, these are good sizes for boxes. This is a little bit bigger, but that's okay. So 5 1/4, 4 1/2, and 6. Well, you know, I could take them all down a little bit more, make them all kind of more or less sort of equal. Let's move that handle out of the way. Always good practice to shut your leg off before you move it to the rest.
Your old hammer, 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 your old Sajik.
Wow, chat, speech chat tried to tell me what the emoticons were. That's kind of funny. Okay, let's work on parting these off.
After the Underdog 1-4 said, your old hammer, 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 your old hammer.
Hey, could you explain that? Because I don't understand what the icon or emoji or whatever is supposed to mean. It's a whammy chasing. Ah, okay. All right, I got you. All right, so what I normally do is I don't want to part all the way through. I'm between centers, right? So I don't have any like hold on the ends other than force going this way. So I turn it down where I'm gonna part it off down to in this case, it looks like about an inch diameter, and then I'll cut the rest away with a saw. And when I'm making curves like this, I want to make them a little bit wider than the tool is. So if that means I've got to go about 1.5 lengths apart, but then I won't go straight in. I'll go at a slight angle with each one so that I'm kind of opening up a little bit on the inside too. That way chips and everything don't get stuck in there. Your tool doesn't get bound up because this dude will heat up. I'm not going to touch it because I can feel the heat coming off of it. So with the expansion of this and the expansion of the wood, if you get stuck in a single kerf, it's going to take that tool right out of your hand. You don't want it to get bound up in there. hit a split. Hello. All right. We'll cut these off, and then I've got another piece of wood I want to round out, nice piece of maple, and then we'll see about turning a box if there's enough time to. Oh, 9:30? Yeah, probably so. At least get started with one. Also got to keep in mind that the center points are keeping constant pressure in there, so your saw can get bound up too. Take the last few. Cuts where it's not being under tension. Well, it might be easier to do this one first. Take my time so I don't slam it into the saw into the ways of the lathe, because that is a great way to tear up the teeth on it. This is about loose anyway, so this won't take much. All right, let's take a look at the ends of these things and see if I got to take any more material away. Let's take a look at this guy cut off first. All right, so I'm not seeing any splits. I've gone below where my lines were, so I'm not actually seeing. Oh, there's a split right there. I'm lying. So let's see how that correlates over here. It's right there. It's just showing up, so we'll straighten that dude up in a bit. There's no splits here. This is the end of the other side, and I really don't see any splits there, so let's take a look.
Orange and 76.
Hey,
Dave.
How's it going, Dan? And no splits here, so that took care of that problem. Hey, man, that's that right there is cooking wood, man. We'll save that. What do I do with the other one? Yeah, I'll put that on the grill next time I cook a steak. All right, so I'm going to grab my my center finder, if I can keep hold of these pieces of timber here. And we're going to set this thing up.
Said TTS not on.
TTS? Talk to speech? Yes, it is on. Did you not hear me? I may have been.
Orange and 76 said, "Oh, I heard it."
Oh, okay. Yeah. How's it going, man? So let's get these guys centered up again, and I guess I could leave them the way they are. I just needed billets first to be able to make some blanks for boxes. So I don't really have to do too much with these anymore at the moment. So I'll just mark the centers and then move on to the next piece. So that's that guy. Let's turn it over. All I can figure is these things are made slightly less than 90 degrees, because it's
Orange and
not very
76
often.
said, I just got 2 redwood pieces on an auction on FB tonight. 12-inch tall by 8-inch square for each and one them for $40. But they
Wow.
have to ship from California.
Wow. How many friends do you have now? I'd like to turn some redwood. That'd be cool. Nice, nice. So this is it's rare that when I'm using my center finder that I actually get the lines to line up dead center. Usually I've got a little square box. This is not quite 90 degrees, but that still gets me, in the ballpark, so to speak.
Orange
That's
and
really all I
76
need.
said, wow, I'll ship you a piece of 2KYRO redwood.
Wow, 2,000 years old. Wow. Yeah, if I got to turn, let's see, I got to turn some mulberry recently. Hadn't turned that. Kentucky coffee tree. Did that on this channel. Let's see, what else have I been lucky enough to turn that doesn't grow here, or at least isn't available where I'm at? I don't think any coffee trees grow in Michigan, to be honest. I don't know. I haven't come across any or heard anybody ever talk about it.
Orange and 76 said, there is the old growth that is thousands of years old and new growth that is about 150 YRS old from when they replanted the old ones they cut down in the early 1900s.
Oh, so they did replant. Okay. Very cool. All right, so I'm going to set these guys aside and we'll bring out the maple. I think I'm going to make a box out of that. Maybe the maple first. I don't know. Let's set these aside. And bring up this lovely chunk of maple. Oh dear, that's quite a split. I didn't see that before. This is not going to be a good.
Orange and 76 said, I get old growth from a guy with a sawmill in California. When they get damaged or come down, he gets the wood, and I get a chance to buy it. Orange and 76 said, if I can afford it, law.
Oh yeah, well that'd be an opportunity I would hate to pass on. Yeah, yeah. Let's see, that guy's not the right size. I'm looking for a different blank here. How about this guy? It's kind of punky. No, no, no. Actually, I should get rid of it. It is kind of punky. Okay, that goes to the burn pile. That was some of that maple burl that I have that is really heavily bark included. And I don't really want something like that to try to carve on because, I mean, the carving is like what the detail is going to be, right? So if it's covered up or if it's competing with the grain or the features in the wood, there's no, I don't want to do that. What's this guy? Oh, darling. All right. So here's a nice piece of maple. We'll do that guy. Very cool.
Orange and 76 said, I'll send you the FB group so you can get at it too. I get redwood, Clara walnut, and buckeye the most, both regular grain and burl wood.
Very nice. Hey, I would
Orange
appreciate
and
that.
76 said, oh, and I get manzanita burls from him too.
Oh, very cool. That's where all my, well, not all of my manzanita burls. I did actually get some from a root ball downstate they dug out of a farm field. I guess they were expanding the farm or something. I don't know. But anyway, I lucked into a piece of root burl, manzanita root burl.
Orange and
That was
76
fun.
said, ooh, root balls are fun too.
Yeah, for sure. So sneaking up on my balance point, I want to eliminate as much vibration as I can from the very beginning. And if it stays wherever I put it, ooh, it didn't there though. Let's loosen that up a bit. Okay, so still a little heavy in the bottom there. Let's move that up a tad. Something like that. Uh-oh, it fell out of the hole. Yep. Yeah, main problem with working with end grain like that. All right, so we'll take it up a little bit on this side. Not much, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, and it was still too much. All right, let's go back to that. Oh, it fell out of the hole, but that was the balance point. Let's find it again. I was right on it, man. Dang. Hate it when that happens. Wow. That wasn't even a 1/16 of an inch, and that was too far. Holy smokes. Okay, let's go there. Make sure it's able to move freely. It's not. I wonder if that's, oh, I bet you that's what fell out of the hole. Yep, sure enough. So where I had it here, I think is there. Ah, fell out of the hole again. There we go. Okay, I think that is it right there. Oh, that came off easily. Let's remove that. That doesn't fly off into my face. Let's see where I put my... Where did I squirrel my chisel away? There it is. Yeah, let's get rid of this stuff. Anything that comes off easy will come off real easy when it's spinning fast. One of my goals of wood turning is not to be hit with chunks that fly off the lathe, because it hurts. All right, so this guy, oh, wow. It's a long text and it's messed up speech chat. There it goes.
It turns out he does custom cabinets.
Okay.
I walked over with my wagon and took a bunch of it. I showed him what I make. Then the guy from down the street, a couple houses, came by to get some too. We had a little woodworkers chat on the curb.
Nice.
It's nice to see. I will have guys to talk about wood stuff with.
Yeah, yeah. Very, very cool. That's always nice to know. I tell people, they ask me questions, and I say, well, how much time you got? Because like I'll talk your ear off about wood turning and beekeeping for as long as you let me. And I probably, at least with beekeeping anyway, won't repeat myself in a few hours' time. It'd probably take me a couple hours to ever try to repeat myself. There's a lot of stuff out there. All right, so we'll start off with a skew on this guy, but I'm going to go to the bowl gouge.
Said, "Yep, I'll talk forever about this."
maybe I won't. Maybe I won't grab the bowl gas. It smells pretty nice. Oh man, I hope that's not punk. Well, we're gonna find out soon. I'll go halfway with that, and then I will pick up the bowl gas. Well, if you have a roughing gouge and you'd rather do it with that, you want to do it with a shoe, it really doesn't matter what tool you use, it gets the job done. I personally just don't want to have to carry, yeah, that's punky, a bunch of different tools to get a job done when I can do, turn my tools into multitaskers. I'm going to finish making this guy around, but he's not a good candidate. Carving. A lot of good wood, but right in here it's all punky. And it looks like it goes through there quite a ways, at least half of it, so yeah, this is not going to be worth carving on. Still might be worth turning, maybe. See if I can get any better surface out of it. I can a little bit. All right. I probably should just give up already, but so much better surface with the skew. Clearly I didn't get deep enough to get rid of those chainsaw marks, but that's not very deep anyway. Yeah, this will be worth turning. Just take my time with it, but it won't be worth trying to carve anything on it unless I just carve one side. I don't know. Have to think about that. Let's take this off the lathe. Set that aside. That's another billet I have ready. Let me see if I can find one more piece. I know I can't use the red cedar I've got because that won't carve well either. So, and I've got walnut over here, but that we are asked not to bring. Well, I guess I'm on the hunt for more timber, preferably seasoned. I'm going to be bugging my friends, my woodworking friends. Hey, man, you got any cherry? Hey, man, got any poplar? Hey, man. One moment, please. Sorry about that. Had to blow my nose. Okay, so, well, let's go with this guy and let's start a box. What the heck? Let's see, where are the splits I was looking at? Right there. I can see that. Let me see if I can get rid of that. Working on the smaller lathe takes, I mean, wood turning is pretty much mostly finesse anyway, but having to slow down even more on the smaller lathe was a good lesson, good exercise. I use that lathe a lot when I'm going doing demos and stuff like that because it's portable. Just leave that where it's at right now. Okay, I'm gonna take. Let's see. No, first I'm gonna hone my skew again. I guess I could do that with. Well, I could do the same thing with any tool. It doesn't matter. The idea is that you're gonna have an edge that's at 45 degrees. I could use the bowl gouge as a skew. It's no different. Just different way to handle it. But I like my skew practice because the skew, I think, is a pretty indispensable tool, man. It's definitely a multitasker. Does a lot of, well, it does a few things very, very well, and then a few other things pretty good, depending on how you manipulate the tool. So for me, getting past the fear of using it, because everybody has it, I did too. Although learning how to use it properly is what got me past that fear. It's not, me practicing. It's like, all right, how do I actually address this to the material that I'm turning? So, really, really grateful for people like Richard Raffin. That's not quite right. And I would love to say, well, yeah, I mean, clearly, following Richard Raffin definitely changed the way I use a skew. I was using it far less efficiently and not the right way, not the best way. Let's put it that way. I struggle with it. This is the right way and that's the wrong way.
Is just finishing up streaming on FP.
If it works,
He's the guy that I get the redwood from. I'll send a link
oh,
to his
Facebook.
group on
Okay.
FP to your Instagram messages.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll sign on to that after the stream. I need to export the video anyway to Facebook. So anyway, I would love to say that Richard. I mean, oh yeah, Richard Raffin like changed the way I completely changed the way I use a skew, and that is absolutely true. But he was also the first teacher, I guess, first guy I went to or stumbled across or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember how I learned about the guy. But the way he uses a skew and learning how to do that changed. It did change how I was using the skew because now it's more efficient. And now I like to spend time watching David Dalby, Steve the Woodturner. They're both on Instagram. You want to see some really excellent tool handling skills from production turners. You can learn a lot by watching, and they explain a lot of things too. Uh, Steve the Woodturner, watching him and listening to his explanations helped me to understand how to stand on the inside of the skew and manipulate the tool, like I'm doing right now. Because for me, it used to be I'd go one way, switch hands, go the other, and it doesn't take a lot of time. But I'm on one side of the skew the whole time, doing it. I do that when I can get away with it on the piece, but it is a time saver. And not that I'm like a full-time production doing it, because I'm not. But learning those skills, I think, has been really, really invaluable for me. Um, Watching pros like that who've been doing it for decades, and listening to their, taking instruction from them, essentially. There we go. All right, so now I want to see where that split goes. So the outside surface, this is good to go for now. I just wanted to clean it up. Oh, I don't need this guy anymore. I am trying to monkey around with a long tool rest I don't need to use anymore. Let's make sure this is the right height. It's a little high. There we go. So yeah, I guess it is true. I say it a lot anyway, but it is really true. There's a lot of pieces to this puzzle called wood turning. There's a whole lot of things that go into it, and people are put the practice in and all that stuff, and really make stuff look easy. And you can get there. It just takes practice. All right, so now I can clearly see these splits here, here, and here. I don't know how far they go through the wood, but this is not this is just part of that drying process where I'm going to say the lignin of the tree itself just separated deep inside the tree. I guess it wouldn't have been on this piece. This was part of it was a quarter piece of a log, so this would have been the outside of it. But still, the splits didn't make it all the way to where the outside was, which was somewhere about an inch out this way. So that was still deeper into the tree than when you see the checks and the cracks on the outside, that the outside started drying really fast. So this comes from it drying on the end. We had that little chunk about that long there. That comes from drying out at the end. And while it doesn't, in the split itself only made it so far to where I cut it off here on the outside surface, but here in further in, you can clearly see that is still an issue. I don't know. Actually, I'm going to flip this around. This may become the bottom of the piece. I want to see what's happening here. I don't expect to see any splits there, but You know, you don't know until you break into it. So if that is the case, then this can be my bottom, and I won't have to worry about making a lid out of this and having that break. Again, I don't know how deep they go, but they're here to stay. So let's make this guy secure in the lathe. All that vibration that you're hearing is me cutting through end grain with a slightly dull tool. So it's time to change my bowl gouge. All right, so no splits here. There's some little bark inclusion little spots, which will add to it. I can see the color change, even though it's not got finish on it. I can see the color change throughout it that you probably cannot see. Oh, the camera. I'm sorry about that, folks. Oh, geez. I don't know if I bumped it or just didn't move it. My bad. Let's get back there. Come on. All right, I gotta wait for the lag. I've got a 5 to 7 second lag here between what I do and what shows up on the screen. And watching the videos to do sound checks and stuff like that is kind of interesting because I've noticed you can see, like when I'm on camera, you can see my mouth move, but the sound is slightly delayed, or vice versa. Usually, what I see is it's like the sound is slightly delayed, but my lips are moving. It's kind of funny. Okay, so let's go back to this guy. So I've got these little pencil marks right here. These 3 spots are the split that's gone in, and I've got oh yeah, here it is. And this is why it's good to continually assess the material you're working with. So this is the piece that I cut off. Right, you can see there's all kinds of splits and cracks. It did look like, oh, now I can see the third one. So this split, hold it in the right light, and this split doesn't even continue all the way through. It stops on the outside here, and then you can see it dive down into the wood, which correlates to this guy. So it dives down into the wood at an angle. So assessing the wood, I don't want this to be a lid, because if any of that stuff breaks out, that lid is toast. But it would still be okay for the bottom of the piece. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's no splits here, so this is now my new top. That's my bottom. So in celebration of that, I'm going to give myself a way to hold this and get my general shape figured out. Pencil needs to go back where it belongs, or I'm going to lose it in the shavings. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of a chuck hold here. I don't have to true it up for that. About that much will do. A little bit of a dovetail, or chamfer that. Now I can put it in the chuck. But I don't have to. Wait, no, Dave. Let's make a shape first. Well, no, let's put it in the chuck and make a shape, because this is not going to be... Well. Okay, so this split that was on this side disappeared. It's not there. This split continues a little bit, and this one does a little bit. So if I was able to get down in there deeper, it might probably completely disappear. But since that one is gone now, I'm even less concerned about this being on the bottom. And let's get this in the chuck and give it some shape. Figure out where my lid's going to come off. Or I could alternatively, I could just turn a lid out of something else. But that's still in the future somewhere. Oh, yeah, I change the size. Still not right. There we go. You know, if I'd have learned that sooner, that method of taking those things out, or even, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if I'd even thought about it. Probably, I don't know. I wouldn't even, even if I thought about it, I probably wouldn't have come up with it. But rather than beating the hell out of the knockout bar to get your Morse taper out, it's just so much nicer to lock down the spindle and spin it out. All right, need the key. There's the key. So I'm not totally clear. I don't know. I got an idea of what might work well with carving. So I mean, I could leave straight sides, but that's just so boring. All right, dude. Speak to me. All right, let's see. If I take off, say, that much material for the lid, then I could still make a finial. And I would have a box about that. That'll work. So we're going to do that. Skew. Have to get rid of that, but since it's easy, we'll do it. And then that lid will sit right inside. Yeah, okay, that'll work. That'll work. Yeah. I can be happy with that. Oops. All right. That's a result of me coming out of that hole and hitting that with the porting tool, which is always awesome. It's nice and clean. I don't quite have that much, but let's do it anyway. I don't want to take heavy cuts, so I've got basically a 5/16 inch tenon in there holding this on, so you can see it kind of wiggles, but not a whole lot. So really light cuts to true that up. Didn't induce any vibration, and that's a good thing. So there's that guy. I got plenty of room to play with. Okay, let's make a shape. Yeah. Yep, it's time to change you. Sharpen you later. Grab that guy. You know, if I do this with my spindle gouge, well, I'll get to it. Oh, duh, too high on the tool rest there. Oh, I like that already. All right. Yeah, I'll go with that. Let's go a little bit more. That'll do. Oh, I can get that off the lathe. So you gotta go over here. Get all this extraneous stuff off the lathe here. Move the skew. Put the parting tool back. Okay, now I have only one tool on the lathe. Ooh, actually, I just got another idea. I'm going to taper the outside shape using the ball gouge as a skew. A little bit more to that taper. There we go. And then bring that down to a foot at some point. Right in there. So let's unhandle that dude. So essentially, I'm scraping backwards to what you would normally think people would want to go this way, but because I've tapered it now, the support for the fibers are going to be, it is a spindle orientation. The support for the fibers is going to be that down below. So if I drag it up this way, then I stand the chance of pulling these fibers out and fluffing things up and tearing pieces out. But if I go backwards with a shear cut, scrape, then I have that support and no tear out. Same thing on this end. The support is for the fibers underneath, not on the outside. So I want to follow that support, and I'm scraping backward. I could just as easy go this way with it. It doesn't make a difference as long as I'm going in the direction of the grain. So I can still go backwards with it, and it'll get that same shear cut as if I went forwards with it this way, around this corner anyway. Here, I can't do that because then this gets in the way. I can't get around this corner. So I've got to. I mean, I could use a spindle gouge. I could do it that way and just turn it off. And then do a shear scrape. But since all this is getting in the way of the end of the tool, I can't get in there. The traditional way, I guess you could say. So I went backwards with a shear scrape. Just the same thing as this is. Going forwards with a shear scrape. Because I'm going in the direction where I have support for the cut. Not important. The direction isn't necessarily important, and if it's a sheer enough cut, you're going to get a really nice surface regardless of the direction that you go. So I think then I need to delineate these two spaces here. And of course I put my spindle gouge away. So I'm going to go grab that. I could use my 1/2 inch, but I don't want to have this. Oh, look, I got a spindle gouge there. A big long handle for just a small space. But I could use this too, although it needs some attention. How are you doing? You also require attention. All right, well, I guess it's time to sharpen. Oh, no, let's see. So 5/8 scroll gouge. Got a bead here. Remember, when you're doing a bead, your point has to end at a 90-degree angle to whatever surface you're on to complete that. So even if I'm out here on this, I'd have to adjust a little bit because it's tapered. But this would be basically 90 degrees, and that will be the most efficient, cleanest cut you can make. So really nice bead there. I think I will put another bead here and then I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this spot yet. This is going to be a little bit trickier. Because I can run out of room really fast with this being in the way. And let me move this over a tad. Again, since I want to stop at where it's like 90 degrees to the surface, so that would be right about there. So I'm getting really close to this guy. It doesn't concern me, but I want to pay attention to where I'm at. So here I'm cutting uphill to complete this bead. And that was not with support of the fibers, at least until I got through the surface here. Once I got through this surface, then I had support underneath. But you can't see it on camera, but there's an ever so slightly lifted edge here where the fibers got kind of pushed up. So I'm going to clean that up with this. Well, Dave. Shear straight down to that, and then I will clean this one up. Now, so I've got a nice kind of canvas here to carve in, and I'll have a frame for it. These two beads. So what I want to do here, let's see. I kind of like the idea of it coming up and over, but I also kind of like the idea of there being a cove here. Or maybe not. Maybe. Oh, nice and clean cut. All right. You know what? I think I'll leave it the way it is. I like this. And I can carve whatever in there. I like this. Plus, if there's any kind of add-on pieces that I'm going to add on at some point, maybe I'm carving a piece that doesn't have the grain running the length of it. It's sideways. That'd be a really weak piece, as I've learned from Jim Scarso already. So then I would carve a different piece and then glue it on, attach it on some way, and it can come up over my frame here, as long as it doesn't come up over where it's going to sit on the table, which I haven't figured out yet. But it could come up over the top too, even if there was something that I wanted to add on the top that had the right grain orientation. So I'm going to leave it. I think that'll work out okay. I'm going to come back here though with my 3/8 quarter inch. Clean that up some more. I think that's okay, and if I leave that fillet where it is, then that balances out that fillet right there. And then I can do something about the foot later. And now I'm going to concentrate on hollowing this dude out. And hey, I have the right tools right here to do that. Far out. So let's put the bowl gouge away and the smaller spindle gouge away. Move the tail stock back. Can I still get my handle in there? A little bit further. And of course, I could always drop it on the floor. So what the heck, man? Let's hollow this out. I'll make a little lip for the lid to just sit straight down on it. I'm probably a little tall there, but I'm gonna find out. A little low, actually. Wow, all right. Thought I was a little tall. With my tool rest. Bring this up just a little more. There we go. So since this is a lidded box, I could hollow it doing back hauling, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to use the spindle gouge to open it up. But I need, oh no, that edge is okay. How we doing on heat there, boss? Not too bad. Okay. I'll just open it up this way. And this is how I see most of the guys across the pond open up their lidded boxes. Do with a spindle gouge. Doesn't mean you can't use a bowl gouge. You could, without a doubt. And that's what I'm going to start with because I'm starting to get vibration there. So we'll finish it off with this guy. Now I really just need, that's like too much wall thickness. I don't need a whole lot to carve away. So I'm going to take that down even more. And then I'm going to kind of leave it because I think since I don't really know his method, Jim Scarcella, my machinist's work, it's like absolutely fabulous. I'm captivated by his carving skill, quite honestly. But something I definitely intend to practice myself. So that's my depth for now. I'm going to take it a little deeper than that. But I'm going to use my, I guess I'm going to call it a bowl scraper, but it's just a 1-inch scraper. Mostly use it for bowls and stuff like that, cups. This would be appropriate. Let's get a new burr on it here. So I think I really do, man. I think it's really, really cool to pay attention to all of the different aspects of wood turning, production turners, artists, hobbyists, all that stuff, because you can really learn some pretty cool techniques that translate over from production turning to regular turning and all that. And one of the first people I saw using a scraper like this was Richard Ruffin. See what we got there. Yeah, I do want to take it deeper. All right, let's do it this way. Let's see. Not that guy. This guy. Hello. So I'm pretty much going to rough it out, leaving, say, about a 1/2 inch wall thickness that I can play with later as far as carving. It doesn't need to be too thick, but I also don't want it to be too heavy, if that makes any sense. I don't want the piece to be too heavy, like this big, thick, little tiny hole and a big, thick chunk of wood. With carving, it looks cool, but the paste weighs a ton. I don't want that. All right, so that is mine. Let's grab the magic pencil here. That's my depth as we stand right now, which is right to this line. Let's move and check again. Yep, right to that line on this side of the bead. So I'm going to leave it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the foot yet, but if I can stop that bottom where it's at right now, I definitely have enough thickness in the bottom to make up, I won't make a funnel out of it, put it that way. Okay, let's clean that up. Raise this guy a bit. And then when I get to Aramon, if I need to make any adjustments to the thickness, I can put it on the lathe and make those changes before I start carving. Alright, one more light cut up that way. Oh, nice and clean inside. Let's see. Actually, I could take that down a little bit. So why are you acting this way? Because I'm still not high enough. There we go. Double check my burr here. Time for new burr. turn on the compressor for a little bit so I can just blow this stuff out instead of huffing and puffing like the big bad wolf. I don't have a straw that I can use in place of it, so if I had a straw, I'd blow through the straw. Or a piece of tubing, I guess I could use that, but I don't have any handy. It looks really clean inside, and the wall thickness is fairly even. And that's what I want. Like for this guy to eventually compress all the air into that tank, right? Let's see, I'm checking inside because I might have another piece in here that I can use. It's an unfinished blank. And on this shelf, they're both, the answer is no. Wait, what's that? Red cedar, can't use it. Okay, enough of that. Oh my. I'm sitting there enjoying myself, and it's let's see, down here I've got, ooh, what's this? What is that? Oh, yeah, it's not square. And this is cedar. I don't want to use that. And the walnut that he asked us not to bring. I won't bring that. Okay. So in between now and then, hopefully I can find some, that would be cool, find some fruit wood. Not apple, but although apple is really nice to turn. I really like turning apple, especially when it dries. Okay, let's move this out of the way. Take a look. Okay, I'm going to take a light pass across the surface. Just to dress that up. I don't want to have to go back in there. Oh, that looks nice. Get all the dust out of there, but that's nice. Okay, that'll work. Now I need to make a little step to hold the lid in place. So I'll take my sidewall scraper. I like this tool, man. I'm glad I paid attention to people. I hate throwing away tool steel that I feel like I can still use it in some way, even though, it's past. Let's grab, well, this one will do. When you're sharpening and you get down into here, you run out of flute, but you still got like, 4 or 5 inches of tool steel there. And that's the same thing. This was a spindle gouge. Same thing. I just got rid of the flute. You see, this is the very bottom of the flute right there, the very end of it. And I couldn't get this in the jig anymore. This part wasn't long enough, so instead I just cut it all off and made a new tool. And it's high-speed steel. It cost me nothing extra other than time. Bear with me just a second, please. Sorry about that. Another blow of the schnozzle. Let's clean up. Oh, I could turn off the compressor now too, or did I? Let's take a peek. I did. Good. All right, glasses on. Let's see. Whoops, I bumped the camera with my big head again. So I'm going to make a little step here. And I'm going to need to come up just a little bit. because with the scrapers, and then this is a scraper now. I want to be at as close to center as I possibly can on the inside. Maybe I can get away with a little bit above because this is round tool steel. So the edge that's cutting has no, I mean, it's open underneath there and the shavings, everything can escape. And this tool won't get bound up that way. But I don't want to be cutting below center with this tool because then it can grab. And I can stand to be a little bit closer. I don't need to be, but I want as much force of the tool to go into the tool rest as possible and not into me. I think that's probably a good thickness there. Look at that, man. It's just lovely, lovely shavings coming off. And this is a scraper. Sharp tools, man. That's where it's at. Chamfer that edge. Get rid of those little splinters. I think I'll chamfer this edge a little bit. Where will I go down? Let's see. Let's take a look at this lid. I could actually. Do I want it above the surface, or do I want it to meet the surface? I think I want an in between. Yeah, I want an in between because I'm going to round over the edge of this, and when it fits in that step, no, it's not a crack. When it fits inside that step, then that rounded edge will look like a bead going right into that. So, yeah, I think I'll take it in a little bit deeper. But before I go any further, I want to check and make sure I'm square. Okay, so I'm not quite square. I'm sighting down the edge of my straight edge here, and then the ways of the bed down here, which you cannot see in the camera. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, you can overhead. So I'm sighting along the edge here and matching it with that. This edge is on the inside edge of the step, and then the square end of the ruler is right at the bottom. And where that meets up, right there, I'm just a little bit off square. And let's see if that took care of it. Why, yes, it did. Dang, man, right on, too, in fact. That's cool. All right, so here's my depth. That would give me just a little bit over. Okay, I'm going to take it in. Well, I do have to turn some off of here. All right, so I'm going to leave it where it's at because I am going to have to turn a little bit off of here just to true this up. I will undercut this probably on this side. This is where the finial will stick out. I may even leave this in here and just make it a double. I don't know. We'll see. But it'll also give me more room for the tenon of the finial to drill a hole and set that in there without coming all the way through to the bottom. So that's the depth I'm going to leave it at for now. And now we're moving on to a little bit of abrasive here. And with this stuff, I am going to wear the mask. I don't have the fan blowing, and I don't want to breathe this in. I had the fan or the vacuum. I got to get a vacuum set up over here. If I had either one of those, I might still wear like this is actually a filter mask. I might, wear like an N95 or even, something like that just to cover that part. Even if I had a vacuum and a blower going at the same time. because there would still inevitably be some particulate matter in the air, even though most of it got sucked away. So I wouldn't necessarily wear like a filter. This is a charcoal filter mask. I wouldn't necessarily have to wear something like this beefy to sand. Slow this guy down. I may still even put a slight cove in there, maybe. I don't know. Just depends on. Some of it depends on the things I learned from Jim. I understand Jim Scarcella is a good teacher. Also, I have not taken classes from him before, although he is a member of our turning club. He's a really nice guy. But I don't know, you know, I'm sure he's probably going to go over like how he lays this stuff out, you know, what the considerations are for the wood and all that. So I'm not going to go too terribly far with making all kinds of crazy detail on it yet. The focus really is supposed to be the carving. There could be nice little extra added details, like these beads, for instance. You know, to frame the piece, to give it a focal point, um, but to learn how he lays this stuff out, I may wind up making a slight change to this. I don't know. So I'm not trying to go too far with it. I want to have the outside of this finished just in case I don't make any changes other than carving. I don't really have to sand this because that's what's going to get carved up. Just these little details here, and then I can flip this guy around and give it a foot. You can always worry about the lid later. And then it won't separate the two. When they get packed, they'll go together. I don't have to turn that anytime soon. Because who knows, man, the layout of the carving may dictate a slight change to how I do the lid. It may not. The only thing that and I don't want to use the word expect, but that's what I expect to happen is I'm going to learn something. I'm going to apply myself and learn something. So, you know, I also have learned that it's okay to make those design changes on the fly. Sometimes they're inadvertent design changes. You don't see, or you run into an issue with the wood that wasn't visible until you cut down to it. And boom, you've got a design change. A happy little accident, as it were. To quote Bob Ross, just a happy little accident. It forces you to look at the thing slightly differently than when you started, right? So that's where I get out of it, where that is a happy little accident, because it makes you review your perspective about what you've seen already. So these are sanded, that's sanded. I'm not really going to worry about that. What the hell? We'll do a little bit. I don't have to do a lot. It's going to be carved on anyway. But, you know, but I don't know how much. So I guess I probably should give some good attention to this, or more attention to this, rather, just to have a good surface to start with. But I'm probably going to wind up drawing on it, marking it up. Yeah, it looks good. So I'm going to flip this guy around. And here in a... I'm going to turn this thing on anyway. Here in a couple of minutes, a minute or two, we're about to the end of the broadcast, but here in a minute or two, I'm going to take this mask off because I don't need it after the dust settles down. And I'm going into my favorite kind of hold. Ha ha. So here I've got maybe 3/16 of an inch wall thickness because of that angle, right? So if I go to the inside of that step, that's what I've got. If I seat this all the way in where the jaws are inside, then I've got what is that? Not quite half an inch, maybe 7/16. It might be half an inch. It's just a little shy, actually. But I think that is a good start to have enough meat to carve things out on there. But as far as the hold with the chuck, there's a couple of ways I can do this. I always do my best to opt for the safest option, also depending on how I feel about my tool handling skills. I still want to err on the side of caution. There. I need to turn the mic off for that one. Sorry. So I can bring up the tailstock. I can seat the jaws right there on that lip, and have this further away from the lathe, and then I can bring up the tailstock, or I can seat that all the way inside there, assuming the jaws go down that far. If they don't, I have another chuck that will. And then this will ride on the outer face, which is flat here and should run true. And if I want to get inside, I'm going to have to get that other chuck. And I'm going to. I'm still going to bring the tailstock up to get most of the meat of whatever I'm going to remove. May not be a lot, actually. I don't know. But get most of the meat of that gone. With support going through it. Or I could do without the tailstock and just work with the sharp tools and slow and steady wins the race, which I tend to try to do anyway. Slow and steady is always better than fast and choppy, in my opinion. But either way, this is going to be an expansion hold, so I am going to actually bring up the tailstock regardless because it's an expansion hold. I could make a jam chuck for this, but we'll just go with this. It's going to be quicker. Get this in the right spot. Get the right, or what I feel is the right torque on this. I don't want to have too much pressure and try to force it apart. I just want a good solid hold. Let's move these guys aside. That guy that way. Now I can bring this up. And I do want the tailstock fairly close to the piece because the longer you have the coil out, the more you have a chance for vibration. Yeah, this is a short piece. You can still get vibration in there. So I want good solid support pushing it against the chuck. I'm not relying on that expansion hold by itself. Okay, let's go over this here. Let's see. Well, that's definitely going to go, so we'll do that now. Speed the lathe up. Kind of like the idea of a foot being that wide, but it's too thin. I mean, I'm not looking for a half-inch wall thickness like I was in here because this is where I'm going to be carving, but this is still too thin, I think. Alright, so now I've got all this material to play with. It's always better to have more. I could continue that around. I really can't put it on a base unless that piece is separate. Like I turn it separately and join it to this, which is an option to lift it off the table. But I think I want to use the shape of the piece to give it that elevation, which is another reason why I did this tapering where it kind of opens up at the top. It draws the eye upward and it makes the thing look as though it's lifting up, it's uplifting, floating as it were. Whereas if the wider part is down at the bottom, it looks heavier and more solid. Whether it is or not is immaterial. It looks that way to our eyes. So I could just take this around and make that bottom off and give that just a little bit of a reveal to where it's got a little bit of lift for this bead to be off the table. Or I could do some wizardry and figure out how I want to attach a base and finial to the bottom too. Let's see. Or, that won't look so nice. Or I could just cove out that and leave that as a foot, but that won't look nice. Not too high? No. Yep. Just a little bit too high there. So, off with its head. Okay, now before I go, actually, okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that alone. Set myself up for a hold in the chuck. Stay right about there. Dovetail hold for the other chuck, so that if I need to make any changes, I can still get this in a chuck without having to put it into expansion mode. And then I can put it back in expansion mode and turn this bit off. So I'm going to leave the tenon, although it doesn't need to be that big. That would work right there. And then I can put this back on the lathe in the future, arrow mount, if I need to. And I haven't screwed myself over. And then I'm going to locate the center. So that the point of my tailstock there at wherever I'm turning will accept that that's the center I want. I'll be using I'm taking my chucks, although I don't guess I really have to. They do have, but I'm going to take one of my chucks anyway. just in case they don't have, what I'm used to working with. And I'm not leaving myself a whole lot here to make any adjustments for that, but I know that this will fit in my chuck properly. So I'll take that chuck with me. That way, if I got to make any changes to the inside or any feature out here, I can still chuck it up and then reverse it and turn this off and do that foot. So I don't have to do that now either, which is nice. And that's plenty enough material to accept the point of the tail, the live center. Even if it indents it, I'll be taking off enough that that is going to disappear too. All right, that's a good plan, I think. I'm going to go with that. So there's one box with lid material. Easy there, cowboy. But hey, while I'm here, do I want to fit the lid to that yet? That is a good question. You know, it won't take long to get the lid to fit properly, to size the lid at Airmont, so I'm going to leave it alone. I can make any adjustments later if I have to make any adjustments here. I won't have too small of a piece. If I cut this down to size now and this has to widen out, this won't work. So I'll leave it the way it is. Try to plan ahead for these things. Trying to plan ahead. Okay, what are we looking at for time? We got 10 minutes left. Well, you know what? That's plenty of time for any questions or comments anybody out there may or may not have. I really do appreciate you joining me this evening and kind of get to see some of how I work through designing and creating things. Sometimes this is on the fly, and just to have something to work with at Airmont that I don't have to turn at Airmont. Not that I don't mind. I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the studio at Airmont. Every chance that I've gotten to go, the studio stays open till midnight as long as you have a partner with you, buddy system. So that's the first thing that I ask for when I take classes there. Is like, who wants to be my buddy? Because I like to turn. And after class, if I can be carving after class and still be in the studio, or I could turn something, or if I need the time to turn something, a replacement piece for whatever reason, I'll have that. So I will take this cherry blank, the bigger cherry blank, with me. I'm going to true this up really quick. I don't see any questions or comments. I haven't heard anything yet, but that's okay. For those of you who are new to this channel, my name is Dave. I'm a wood turner, and I started turning as therapy for PTSD. It's been, I found out I had a knack for it, and then I fell in love with it, and it's been some of the best therapy I've ever experienced. Anyway, shortly, sometime after that, I started teaching it and fell in love with that too. So, in order to become a better teacher and a better demonstrator, a better turner too, because it's more practice, I started this channel. So you're kind of going through the journey with me, and I appreciate the support. I really enjoy turning wood. It is a very relaxing prospect. Probably 99% of the time. I'm not going to say 100. It might even be slightly less, because I don't. Because I use it as therapy, I don't, or you use it for its therapeutic aspects. I don't come into the shop when I'm totally out of sorts, because then those are what I'm going to call mistakes can happen. Things can happen and occur because I'm not paying attention, or because I'm off somewhere else thinking about something else. I want to maintain the focus of being right here, right now with the lathe. It's a great tool for that, for learning how to do that. But I want to make sure that I'm here. I'm here right now, not in the past, and for not fuming or whatever the issue is, not thinking about other things. This is when I come into the shop, I want to be thinking, okay, I'm coming out here to touch wood and play with wood and create things, and I want it to be as pleasant an experience as possible. So I don't want to have the wrong mindset coming out here. So if I get into that situation, I will step away. I've used that same technique. Learning how to turn, sometimes I would get frustrated. And then I learned that when that happens, there's a very possibility of me having an accident, something come off the lathe, me do something silly. So I walk away. But when I get into that mindset where I'm relaxed and comfortable, I've done, and I still practice, but I've done the practice to teach myself the muscle memory. I'm always trying to explore, new ways to use tools because I hate unitaskers unless they're like, absolutely the bomb unitaskers. They're good for one thing and one thing only, but they're goddamn good at it. Like for instance, the wrenches for water mains. They're on 8, 10, 15-foot poles. You stuff down a hole. That's a unitasker. That's a unitasker that does exactly what it's supposed to in a perfect way. That I can deal with, but I want, as many of my tools as I possibly can be not be unitaskers. I want to be able to do. I want to be able to limit, if I choose to, how many tools I got to carry to get a job done, to get some task finished, to make a shape, to make a box, whatever. Do spindle work. I want to have as few tools that I got to interchange as possible. The more that I'm grabbing tools, the less time I'm actually turning, and that's not as much fun. But it's also the same reason why when I've got 5 different bowl gouge steels and I keep them all, I sharpen them so I have all 5 ready to go. I've got 1, 2, 3 different size spindle gouges, all the same grind, but I keep those ready to go, so I don't have to keep going back and forth to the lathe or the grinder, because if I'm grinding, I'm not turning. I want to have good, sharp tools, and really be practicing my tool handling skills. Um, Not because I hate sanding, but because I want to limit how much I have to do. I know that there's going to be some abrasive touching the surface of the wood when I'm done, but I want the best possible finish off the tool that I can absolutely get. And again, it's wood turning is mostly finesse. Once you get the proper instruction and you learn how to do the things and get the practice, and then you can start working with the fine tuning of the muscle memory. There's the gross tuning where you're learning how to do this stuff, getting the body positions right, what works for your physicality. For instance, when I started turning, I started turning sitting down because I could not stand for long periods of time. I just a couple of minutes at a time. I couldn't do it. So that's why I got this lathe, so I could kind of I have a sit stand stool, and I still use that sometimes. I have a sit stand stool that I can lean on, and I can stay at the lathe longer if it's a day like that. I thought about buying a robust that had to hold the whole bed tilted, but the price tag on it made me shy away. um, but it would have been about the same size as this lathe, uh, give or take. I mean, it would have had I think it still had a 1 horse motor. I can't remember. It might have had a two, or maybe there was an upgrade for it. But anyway, I didn't buy that lathe. Instead, I bought this one first. And over time, building up my strength and all that, I've been able to stay at the lathe for a little bit longer. Um, so I want to maximize that time. Is basically what I'm saying. So I put the practice in, and I continue to put the practice in, um, so that I have to do as little surface prep as I absolutely need to for a piece. I don't want to have to start, and I'm not afraid to. I will start at 60 if that's what it takes, 60 grit. If that's what it takes, I'll start at 60 grit. I'm not shy. I mean, the tool is there, right? So if the tool's there and you need it, use the tool. Don't fret over it. Don't think, oh God, I'm a terrible turner. No, sometimes like especially like if you turning punky wood, which I try not to do anymore because it's a whole lot more work. You're going to start at a grit like that, um, to work your way up to a good smooth finish. I want, and I try to use the timber that supports that too. That doesn't always work because you don't know what's in there until you open it up, right? Um, but I try to choose the timber to where I'm turning, and I don't have to start at it supports the process so that if I want to get, and like I'm trying to get, like on this one, this piece right here, that's basically a 220 finish, right off the tool. I could take another light pass and turn it into a 320 finish and start sanding at 320. Um, right now, I'm just going to leave it as a blank. Well, actually, no. Tomorrow night, I will turn this into another lidded box. Then I'll make sure to take this other cherry piece as a blank to the class. Um, but I want, as I said, I want the best possible finish I can get off the tool. And it doesn't matter what that tool is. It could be a gouge, could be a piece of abrasive. It's still a tool. It could be a scraper, whatever it is. I want the best possible finish off that tool. So if I can start at 220 or 320, which is typically where I start now, then that's a whole lot more time turning and a whole lot less doing all the other stuff. So I'm maximizing my time at the lathe. Um, anyway, enough about that. I hope that you find information here valuable, and I really do hope that the things that you can pick up here help you become a better turner if you are a turner, or maybe inspire you to become one. I find it really to be very, very relaxing endeavor. About 90, we're gonna just say like 98% of the time. So the rest of the time it's me and my headspace and stupidity. Um, but I hope that if it does inspire you, it inspires you to also get good instruction, because that is only going to make your journey that much more enjoyable. Um, you want to find a turner who knows what they're doing, and there's a lot of good names out there. If you're in Traverse City, I'd be happy to teach you. I give classes, but we got Lyle Jameson here. Jim Scarcella is actually here. I don't know if he would teach classes here. He might. And he's got a nice shop, so it wouldn't be a terrible thing. There's Mike Mahoney in California, a very good turner. There's Mark Gardner in Colorado, very, very good turner. A couple of turners in Colorado. Excuse me. Laurent Niclot. Come on, Dave Stewart Batty. I cannot remember. Oh man, I feel so terrible. I cannot remember. the name of the fellow who's sharing or splitting space with Stuart Batty, to be honest. But in that area, and then there's, I mean, you know, there's well-known turners everywhere, very, very good teachers, um, uh, and you know, I throw my hat in the ring too. Um, I love to teach. I enjoy the heck out of it. And anyway, so if you're in the area and you want to learn how to turn or improve your skills, give me a shout. Other than that, I'm going to wrap up the broadcast for the evening. We're back again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, run from 8 to 11 p.m. I thank you again. Way Cool Wood, that was awesome. Thank you very much for the raid. It was really nice to see Try Ray Ray. I can't remember who else showed up. Orange Dan, it's always nice to see you, man. Like back paging here. Now MW Mudworks, yeah, you're new to the channel as far as I am aware. I don't remember the name, but Try Ray Ray, you've been here, man. That's thanks for coming out. Abaddis, yes, of course. Abaddis, always Abaddis. I like Abaddis. He sounds like a pretty cool dude, even though he's from Canada. TC Schmo, hey man, right on. Right on. That was TC Schmo. All right. So there we are. I hope you all stay friendly. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you again for supporting this broadcast. Hope to see you again. I'll be back again tomorrow night. Come on out and hang out, man. Think of any questions between now and then, throw them out in chat. Always happy to answer what I can. And what I can't, I probably should know the direction to point you. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Good night, folks. Thanks again.